Right. Morning, everybody. Good morning over here to our Deputy Mayor, Barry McCain, who's taking time to come down from the metropolis of Vienna. Thank you. And just before I go to the public forum, I went to the gallery. While the board welcomes and indeed encourages the public involvement in the public forum, lately there has been a level of behaviour displayed by persons that is totally unacceptable. Let me make it quite clear, any interjections or unruly behaviour that causes unrest and disrupts the meeting will result in those involved being censured and or evicted from this meeting. I'm asking you all to be tolerant of others' points of view and exhibit a level of respect to board members and council staff during these proceedings. I shall now open. First of all, are there any apologies? There being none, we'll item 1.2 public forum. First up, Bob Brendan, please.
As I chair the Ratepayers Association, Tairua-Pauanui, I've been nominated to come along and discuss the issues relating to the recent storm and the damage that's been caused. Now, I circulated a PowerPoint presentation to staff. I was hoping it was going to be put up on screen so members of the public could also see it, but that hasn't happened. I understand the elected members have a copy of it. The first picture is of what was caused by the storm surge at the south end of the beach. It was could have been a major issue for Holland Close, which is another subject. I'll discuss that at a later date, because that's been going on for 15 years, so we can wait a bit longer. The second shot is the beachfront Pauanui. That second shot there is now we have 800 metres of the beachfront now looking like that. Second shot is more the same. And the third is the question is, where does all that sand go? Coastal scientists have told us for years that 60% goes offshore, sits there, and it will come back at some stage. The rest of it goes here, Waverley Point. And that shot there is taken from extreme build-up. And when I took that photo, you could have thrown a stone and then parked it on the other side. That's how much sand is built up in that area, that area. And it won't just go away. Some of it will go away if we get a storm of heavy rain, some will, but the majority will stay there and it will work its way into the harbour. The next shot is exactly the same. Looking, you wouldn't believe that you were actually looking back towards Broadbilly Point. There's that much sand there. The next shot is looking towards the Broadbilly Point floatplane. Exactly the same scenario. And the last one is an example of what happens. What happened last time was the council has consent to move sand and place it on the beachfront. This was a success, and you can see, if you look at the bottom picture is when the sand was put there. The top picture is, you can see wet sand, and when we had a storm, cyclone called Japan, came through, the surge actually went up the face of those dunes and didn't destroy it. 60 metres south of that, we lost about 3 metres of the dune because we had a straight face and was undermined. So where have we got so far? We've talked to staff, the staff responsible, and they've basically come back and said, we're not going to do anything, it's not going to happen, It's too bad, so sad. And the comments were made, we haven't even put anything in the 10-year plan to look at this stuff going forward. Now, I sit on Shoreline Management Committee, and so does Chris, so does Barry. And these are consultants that have been employed by the council to come and look at sea level rise and the issues associated with it. Now, I mean, it's costing $2 million for a consultant. That's probably costing another $1 million of staff time to get it out. And I basically agree with everything these guys are saying and the way they're going about it. And their recommendations for Pauanui Beach, they're basically saying it's a minimal risk as long as we maintain the dunes. And their recommendations are on the line, enhanced natural defences through beach profile, sand, sediment, sand back pushing, sand nourishment, sand placement. So these are the guys that are actually making the recommendations. So it's exactly the same scenario as this, right? Let's get on and let's do something. Otherwise, this whole thing is just going to come up talk for us. We'll be going around in circles and talking about it in 20 years' time. Now, I've got a major concern that this council has not done anything or put anything in the budget that I'm aware of to address these issues, other than 1.8 million in the 4th year for Blacksmere money. So here we are spending $2 million money, and we're playing together, we haven't even considered what we're going to do. So the issue we have now is the Coast Guard can no longer operate. They can't get out.
Running out of time, Bob.
Yep, well, I'll just
Wind it up.
I'll just share these. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but this is an important matter for both communities. And I think I deserve another couple of minutes to actually address the issue because it's a public safety matter. Now, if you want to put me out in a jet with, that's fine. But I'm sorry, I think we actually need fair hearing. So now we have a scenario. I've no money to do this. I called the mayor last Tuesday. She said, Bob, I know what you're calling me about. Waterbury Point. Just signed off $440,000 to do restoration around the storm damage restoration around the district. There's money there for Waterbury Point. She was in a hurry. She said, talk to Gary Towler. I spent 4 days going through a process with Gary Towler, going backwards and forwards, with a bloody name game, blaming each other. These the White Tower Regional Council, and we're none the wiser and made no progress whatsoever. So all I'm told is, oh, we've got a new harbour engineer, and he doesn't agree with me. He doesn't agree with that. He made the statement to the president of the Coast Guard. It's all fine. We've cleared the thing, and the stormwater we got the other day cleared the channel. It's all good. Well, sorry. I think at some stage, maybe that gentleman needs to go to Specsavers. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. David Yeoman.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to speak. This is an update of where the siren issue is on the peninsula. Last on the 12th of June, 12th of June, a meeting was held in the Whitianga Town Hall, 2 o'clock, and all that was requested was all the ratepayers that were available, their associations come and assemble and listen to what I had to say through a PowerPoint process. At the end of the meeting, there was a question put to the floor, what do you want to do next? And in your package, is just a summary of what they want to do. So in summary, what the groups represent is what the Tsunami Silence Action Group, which is Linda Chumley Smith, and I'm just the facilitator for technical support. We are going through a process of legal examination and document discovery processes. So we are now engaged in a legal process to discover the decisions that were made by council. In that regard, under the Official Information Act, papers have been submitted to TCDC through their normal process, eventually to go through their legal process to provide us with discoverable documents. Now, I'm also aware, and everybody else is aware, that some of those documents have been public excluded, but we will go through a judicial process to acquire that information. Everybody who had, all the parties involved, the minister, the NEMA representatives, a new player has come to the fore, which we didn't know about, GNS Science, and I'm talking to them later in the week. We have spoken at length with the representatives of FENS about their placement in all of this, and the picture is becoming clearer and clearer as we go along. The thing that we are in doubt about is the pricing for tsunami sirens, at which I am accumulating information, and that information is available to everybody. I have consultation later this week with a Danish company who will also do audio mapping for us on the peninsula and also provide pricing. So the siren thing basically hasn't gone away. Right. There are people who are dedicating monies available. On the floor of the day of the discussion, $10,000 was donated immediately for the process of securing payment for any surrendering documents that will eventually come. You know, I can ask the question, but the process is if the information is available, photocopying and sending it to me requires payment. So that money is available, and there's more on the way. And that's about it, and that's what we're to inform the community board members that eventually what will happen in this document discovery process is that your decisions individually will need to be known as to where you stood when this information was conveyed to you by the council. So early days, but I give you a heads up. Early days.
Thank you, David.
Is that any question? Perfect. Well, just I see, and I'll find FENS representative. Interesting talking with FENS and head office. If you ever have a conversation with your colleagues, one of the things we have been very careful to push forward is that in the discussion in local surrounds is that don't take your dismay or anger about the sirens out on your local groups.
Exactly.
Okay, that's been re-emphasised time and time again.
Nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with you, nothing to do with our volunteers. It all comes from head office, and that's the group that I am dealing with.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Welcome, Jack and Kate.
Morena for Jackie Tupuenua. I've got printouts for everyone else today, and I'm going to quickly
roll through them just to keep Jennifer. Just wanted to thank the board firstly for their support of the process around the Tairua State Park. We believe that you guys did what you thought was correct. You listened to the needs of the community, and I think it's fair to say that all eyes are going to be watching TCDC now to deliver finally on this project. I think it's really important that we do note that it's less than 1% of ratepayers that have blocked this project. The Protect Park Society make up 0.31% of Tairua, and yet they have somehow the democratic power to prevent this from happening. So just quite an interesting fact there. Look, if the judicial review wasn't filed, we'd actually be getting ready right now for our community celebration to be opening the Tairua Skate Park that was due to open July 21, and yet we're going to roll into July next week and be looking to start again next time for 20 years. Our community is ready now. We've got the funds waiting, we've got the residents and ratepayer support, we've got elected council member support, we've got an area that's correctly zoned, we know that the community want to skate park, path, and we need to just keep sight that this is for our tamariki and rangatahi, and we need to focus on them and give the kids a skate park. We need a legally tight process now. We thought when we started this project May last year, or it's been going for way longer than May last year, that the tight process was going to be tight. You know, there's 20 years of time, dollars, passion, energy spent over and over, and yet TCDC still cannot deliver a project. 20 years, that says a lot. As you say, we've got the funds there, but we'd like to put forward some parameters for participation that I hope when you have in the discussion for your resolution around the skate park today, that some of these can be, or all of them could be considered. And the top one for us is that TCDC will defend the next JR. We need to agree to defend this process, because we said last time at the start, we will defend it. We know that we'll fight, we'll defend it. We got to the end of the process, oh, we're not going to defend it. I mean, come on, guys, let's put our big boots on, step up, let's make a process that's so tight, we know we're going to defend it. And we'd like that confirmation from the outset that TCDC agreed to defend the next JR. We'd like a seat at the working party table. We represent the community and their funding contribution. And when that working party is created, we feel that Tairua Sport and Recreation Trust need a seat at that table. We had a liaison person nominated from the board last time, and we had no liaison from that person. So we believe a seat is needed at the table. The process timeline is urgent. This is a high priority project. You know, we're looking forward to getting a process documented and outlined by the 26th of July, and then moving forward. If the community does not see action on the timeline that TCDC promised, the community will revoke their funds. We've already had people asking for a refund of their funds, and we're concerned that if this timeline is not met, more people are going to be asking. So we just need to lock in a timeline and commit to it. We know that Protect Corey Park has tried to negotiate previously with council that Corey Park will never be a location for the skate park. We want confirmation from TCDC that Corey Park will remain a feasible option. It is zoned correctly. It needs to remain a feasible option. It cannot be taken out of the mix. And we recognise that an external consultant is needed to document the change from 2016 when Corey Park was then permitted for skate park activity, and we want that to be done as well to tick off that piece. With the skate park completion, we want a commitment for completion. The skate park's not actually in the next long-term plan because the project was already in progress and should have been completed. We should be celebrating next month, we're now not. So we want a confirmation from the council that this project is ring-fenced and is not required in the next long-term plan because it's already underway. We would hate for the next long-term plan to come out, change the council, and people go, oh no, we're not doing the project now because it's not a long-term plan. So we just need that tightened up there. And we also want a funding commitment. There's 300,000 have been committed from the Tairua-Pauanui subdivision fund, and we just want the commitment that that money will stay available to the project with a minimum of that amount, and that if there's any new costs required, such as an external consultant coming in because the skill set's not within council, that council will cover that cost outside of project budget so that the community is not funding consultants and skill set not sitting within council. What it all comes down to really is this principle of local democracy, and as I say, how can 0.39% of Tairua prevent the project from happening? If every time a small group chooses to take legal action against a council decision, it will empower them to delay things for years. And we believe that 20, 30 years wanting a skate park project or wanting a skate park delivered and a project being hampered every time by a very minority it's time that we lay down the rules here and actually get the skate park project completed for our kids. Because believe me, I'm not going to be skating on it, but my kids are. Thank you. Is there any questions? And I've just left some extra information at the back that we didn't need to cover again. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary. Morning.
Morning. I'm chairman of the Pauanui Tairua Trail Committee. I'd like to present a short history and summary of the current status of the trail. The Hikuai District Trust is a charitable trust and is responsible for the planned trail between Pauanui and Tairua. The Trail Committee is responsible to the trust and carries out the trail planning and its construction. Ian Hopper had a vision of providing a public cycle and walking trail between Pauanui and Tairua. He arranged the construction of the first boardwalk from the waterways towards Tairua-Pauanui Lane. The Hikuai District Trust took on the task of completing that vision. A route away from the road using public land, easements from supported private landowners, or the road reserve as necessary was developed. Consents were gained and construction began. Stage 2 from Tairua-Pauanui Lane to Duck Creek was completed in 2015. Stage 3 from Duck Creek to Hikuai was started in 2018. As most trail users know, Stage 3 of the trail currently comes to an end along the marginal strip, which is the public land along the southern side of the Tairua River, some 6.5 kilometres from the trail starting point. Hikuai District Trust hold resource consent from the Waikato Regional Council for the works, and DOC has provided a concession to use that marginal strip for the purpose of building the trail. Construction work stopped there approximately 2 years ago when DOC refused to approve the final alignment of the trail along that part of the marginal strip that they are responsible for. Since then, we have been working with DOC and all other stakeholders to find a way forward. Preliminary planning and consultations for stage 4 of the trail from Hikuai to Tairua is now underway. We are working with Heritage New Zealand to enable the construction of the 2 kilometre section from Prescott's Garage towards Pauanui along the road reserve. We want that to proceed. We have always been well supported by Regional Council, TCDC, trail users, and the majority of the general public. TCDC have allowed the use of land under its control and have generously provided funds for the purpose of planning and constructing the trail. We hope that this support will continue and grow. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a mover that we received the speakers from Bob, David, Jackie, and Gary. Yep. Second. On favour? Aye. Are there any items not on the agenda?
Or not.
There are none. Are there any conflicts of interest? There being none, we have a mover and seconder that we confirm the minutes of our last meeting, please.
I'll move, but
You'll move? Yeah. Chris? No?
Aye.
We now move. So if you'd like to, somebody please move that the public be excluded from the following part of the proceedings of this meeting. Yes.
One item, and then we will.
There's one item, it's on one item, it's the skate park. So public, please, would you please leave the meeting room? Here we have Chris and Barry.
Not recorded.